So I love all five of our escape rooms. They're all very different themes and everything like this. But this one's storyline might be my favorite. Yes,
I possess a question.
I can probably answer it, but I can't guarantee it.
Ah, where can I partake in these escape rooms if I want to try to go escape from
If you want to escape from an escape room,
those you were just talking about?
these that I'm talking about, you would go to Waxhaw, North Carolina.
Okay.
But every town has its own escape room business, you know. So, but Waxhaw, North Carolina, the town with the unfortunate name. By the way, I'm digging the dual lightning T-shirts. That's really cool. Ross is dressed for less. Ching. Yes. What? I was there for 3 days before coming here, and I was in southeast Portland, the Foster Road area, up to Scotts Mountain, or Mount Scott, or whatever that is. No. Yeah, no. We made up all the escape room ideas ourselves. This one comes from an actual event that happened in our town 257 years ago. That's a long time. 1769, 1770. The Reverend William Richardson was the pastor of the local church. One day his wife, Agnes, who was quite the beauty and had a taste for the finer things in life, but in the back country of the frontier of North Carolina at that time, not a whole lot of finer things, especially when you're a pastor's wife. But anyway, she came home from a quilting bee at the church. I guess that's where women got together and made blankets. And she went to see her husband in his study. All of this is absolute fact. She knocked on his door because it was locked, which was unusual, and he didn't answer. So she called out his name. She didn't hear anything. She looked through the keyhole of the door and saw him kneeling on the floor with his hands up on a chair in an attitude of prayer. She thought, all right, he's doing his pastor thing, so away she goes. Later that day, a guy shows up at the house, needs to see the pastor about some important stuff. A whole another crowd of immigrants coming in from Scotland via Pennsylvania, down the wagon road to the trading road between Pennsylvania and North Carolina. They needed to be made arrangements for, so she says, well, he's still in his study. He goes to his study, he comes right back and says his door's locked and he doesn't answer. She thought, that's strange. So they both go down there, pound on the door, nothing. Call out his name, crickets. They look through the keyhole again and see him still kneeling on the floor with his hands up on a chair in an attitude of prayer. The guy thinks something's wrong here, so he forces the door open, and they discover that Reverend William Richardson had been strangled to death with the bridle of a horse in his study. Now, some people thought he had committed suicide. He did have his bouts with despondency. Do you know what despondency is? It's like if you have the blues and you're lazy at the same time. The old English word for it is sloth. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. But other people became suspicious of Agnes. You see, she was soon seen cavorting around town with the richest guy in the area, Mr. George Dunlap. But mostly they were suspicious because of the rumors that were floating around that Agnes was a witch. And all of this led to what might be the very last witch trial to be held in America, where they pulled his coffin up out of the ground, opened it up, and forced Agnes to put her hand on his skull. weeping and wailing. She didn't want to do it, but her brother-in-law, Archibald Davies, put his hand on top of hers and pressed it down onto his skull, thinking that the superstition back then was that if a murderer touched the person they killed, blood would flow. So if blood was on her hand, she was a witch. She was the murderer, but her hand came back clean. And so they all, let's rebury him and everybody go about your business. And she later married George Dunlap. But to this day, no one knows what actually happened to poor Reverend Richardson. Did he kill himself, or was it someone else? Now for the made up part. I'm telling you the story that I generally tell the teams before the game. All we know is that his ghost cannot rest until someone determines who's responsible for his demise and frees his spirit. The door to his study is the last one on the right. You might need to use that big knocker to get it open. Good luck. And then they go. So here's the trailer for this game. Don't you want to play it now? All right, watch this. Oh, wait a minute. I have to get back onto screen sharing. All right, here we go. Oh, crummy buttons. Here we go. All right. Come on, get up there. Boink. Cool, huh? All right, so there's your entertainment for the day. All right, let me get out of this. And let's go to Keynote and get into Daniel 2. Have you had a chance to read Daniel chapter 2 at all? You have? Wow, great. Somebody has. Let's see if this is the one I want. Yes, this is the one I want. All right, let's play it. Okay. All right, so there's an ancient curse that says this: may you live in interesting times. Why would that be a curse? Good, why else? May you live in interesting times. A lot of us would really like to live in interesting times. I think this is, yeah, nope. Go back, backwards. Not backwards, all right. Daniel was destined to live in interesting times when things were going sideways quite a bit. Most of his life wasn't in those situations that caused it to be so important that it got written down and placed in the Bible. I imagine most of his days were just normal administrative duties that he had. But he experienced very interesting times. He lived during a very volatile time in world history, and yet he rose to the top of his nation's government through all of the controversies and all of the conflicts and all that kind of stuff that happened during those times. And this is one of the first of them that he encountered after having made a stand for God by not defiling himself with the food from the king's table. Now it's like a couple years later, and he encounters another life-threatening situation. So let's dive into Daniel 2. Somebody read verses 1 through 12 for us. All right, who's going to do this? Who's got it ready? Go for it.
One night during the 2nd year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar had such a disturbing dream that he called
Stand up and read so you can all hear it. There we go.
his magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, and astrologers, and he demanded that they tell him what he dreamed. As they stood before the king, he said, I have had a dream that deeply troubles me, and I must know what it means. Then the astrologers answered the king in Aramaic, Long live the king, tell us the dream, and we will tell you what it means. But the king said to the astrologers, I am serious about this. If you don't tell me what my dream was and what it means, it will be torn apart from one. Houses will be turned into heaps of rubble. But if you tell me what I dreamed and what the dream means, I will give you many wonderful gifts and honors. Just tell me the dream and what it means. Then they said, again, please, your majesty, tell us the dream and we will tell you what it means. The king replied, I know what you are doing. You're stalling for time because you know I'm serious when I say it. If you don't tell me the dream, you are doomed. So you conspired to tell me lies, hoping I will change my mind. But tell me the dream, then I'll know that you can tell me what it means. The astrologers replied to the king, no one on earth can tell the king his dream. No king, however great and powerful, has ever asked such a thing of any magician, enchanter, or astrologer. The king's command is impossible. No one except the gods can tell you your dream, and they do not live here among people. The king was furious when he heard this, and he ordered that all the wise men of Babylon be executed.
All right, great. Thank you. So have you heard this story before about the king's dream? All right. So this happened, it says it was in the 2nd year of his reign. So it was probably during, probably in 603 to 602 BC. It was while Daniel and his friends were in their 2nd year of school, possibly his 3rd year. So how old would he be by now? 16, 17 years old, somewhere around there. Maybe 18 if it was in the 3rd year of his school. And he was majoring in the wise men course of study. That was his major. There was different, different disciplines that they would study. Daniel and his friends got promoted to be into the wise men category. Every potentate back in those days had their magic guys who supposedly could commune with the gods and give the king advice. Should you invade this country? Will you win? Should you not? Should you put more people into the fields to plant because it's going to be a big harvest, or should you reserve some for the army? That kind of thing. So they had books of illustrations and how to interpret dreams. If the king would tell them what they dreamed, they could look up all the symbols in the dream and give them the interpretation. And as always, the interpretation was flattering to Nebuchadnezzar. They were really trying to curry his favor so that he would give them a raise and give them a nicer place to live and that kind of stuff. So Nebuchadnezzar probably became a bit suspicious about what they were up to. So he introduced an extraordinary complication to their everyday wise men duties. He had a dream that bugged him, but he was suspicious that maybe his guys were not really as insightful as they claimed to be. Maybe they didn't really have the magic skills he thought they had, or they thought they promoted themselves of having. Maybe they didn't know how to mix the right elixirs and burn the right incense to get the right information for him, that kind of stuff, do all that magic stuff. So he put them to the test. He said, tell me the dream that I had and what it means. So he assembled all his wise guys together. The wise men of Babylon, by the way, these guys were the predecessors. These guys were the probably great grandparents of the wise men that went to see Jesus when he was born. Remember, what does it say in Luke? That wise men from the east? That's these guys. How do you think they understood about a coming Messiah for Israel being foretold in the stars? It's Daniel's influence seen 400 or 500 years later. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, I think that's pretty cool. So he assembled all his wise guys and demanded that they prove that they could do what they claimed that they could do. He demanded that they tell him the dream and its interpretation, not just the interpretation. Then he said, if you can do it, I'll give you a great reward. But if you don't, he threatened a severe punishment. I keep pushing this thing too fast. So the punishment was, he said, I'm going to cut you to pieces and I'll turn your houses into garbage dumps. There'll be rubble and trash, which for a Middle Eastern Bronze Age person was the worst possible punishment. People in that era really kept great value on keeping their body together after death because they needed their whole body to go into the next life. If you know anything about Egypt and their mummification process and all that kind of stuff, it was all about getting this body ready to go across the river into the next life kind of thing. To be cut into pieces and probably fed to animals, and it was unheard of, not unheard of, it was horrible punishment. And to have your house demolished and turned to a trash dump was an incredible insult to your future generations. That was where your family grew up, kind of thing, over generation from generation. So your memory would be erased. You would no longer exist on earth as a historical figure or in the afterlife. You would be gone. Horrible punishment for those guys. So their response was, nobody, no king has ever asked anything like this of his wise guys. Nobody. They must have been saying, you've got to be out of your mind. Who do you think you are? We don't have direct access to the gods. They don't live among us. They were admitting that they were frauds. And they were buying for time, and so Nebuchadnezzar got furious. His response was, he was furious. This isn't the first time we'll see him overreact to something that goes against his will. He was furious, and he ordered the king of his palace guard to go and kill each of his wise men, including the students majoring in wise guy studies. Whoa. He had the power to do it, and he was so frustrated and angry with them that he decided he was going to do it. But now in verses 13 through 19, we see that Daniel's faith shows God's faithfulness. Is it raining again? Dang. I spent the time you guys were in your small group thing down at Big Wave Dave's McDonald's Memorial Bench. Do you know where that is? It's like the best place to watch waves, and the sunset especially, on Kauai. So I'll tell you where it is. It's like a secret, okay? Do you know when you're going past Brenneke Beach with the beach on your right, you're going that way, then you come to a 90-degree turn and it goes up the hill? But there's like a dirt road that keeps going straight where that 90-degree turn is. If you go up that dirt road, at the top end of it, there's a lava bench with Big Wave Dave McDonald's Memorial Bench plaque on it. And it's the perfect place to watch waves. You can sometimes see turtles swimming around in the rocks there and stuff like that. It's really cool, and you see the whole Poipu coastline along the side. Beautiful spot. So if you ever want a good makeout spot, that's a good place. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I'm serious. That's really good. You want to see a video from it from this morning? All right. Okay. See what kind of irresponsible teacher I am? All right, so here's like a video from today. No, wait a minute. Is that a video? There. That was just this morning because finally there's some sunshine. So that's from Big Wave Dave McDonald's. All right, so back to Daniel. I'm an irresponsible teacher. I can't help it. All right. When Daniel heard the bad news, he responded with tact and wisdom. Somebody read verse 13 through 19 for us. You'll need to stand up and make your voice loud. Right? Who's going to do it? A girl this time. All right, stand up. No, not on your chair. I won't make you say Captain, oh Captain.
Okay, so the decree was issued to put the wise men to death, and men were sent to look for Daniel and his friends to put them to death. When Arioch, the commander of the king's guard, had gone up to put to death the wise men of Babylon, Daniel spoke to him with wisdom and tact. He asked the king's officer, "Why did the king issue such a harsh decree?" Arioch then explained the matter to Daniel. At this, Daniel went into the king and asked for time, so that he might interpret the dream for him. Then Daniel returned to his house and explained the matter to his friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. He urged them to plead for mercy from the God of heaven concerning this mystery, so that he and his friends might not be executed with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. During the night, the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a vision. Then Daniel praised the God of heaven.
All right. So, thank you. Thanks, Sarah. So the guys show up at Daniel's house, their dorm room, basically, and the four of them, they're there, and with swords and daggers and ready to cut them into pieces, take them to wherever they were going to take them to cut them into pieces. And Daniel goes, "Hey, what? What's so urgent?" So Arioch explained the deal to Daniel. Daniel says, Can I talk to the king? So Arioch says, all right, let's get in there. And, well, did he say that at that point? Let me see. At this, Daniel went into the king and asked for time. So I wonder what's the difference between Daniel asking for time and the wise guys stalling for time. You see what I'm saying? That made me go wonder. But my first thought is that when the guys showed up at their door, my initial response would be that I would feel like God had abandoned me. I was being faithful. I was eating vegetables 3 times a day and drinking nothing but water. I was honoring God with who I am, and here it is. It's all for nothing. I'm about to be sliced into pieces. But Daniel responded with tact and wisdom. However, Daniel knew that even this bizarre event was going to lead somehow to something good for God's reputation. So he responded with tact and wisdom, which is very unusual for a 17-year-old guy. Most 17-year-old guys respond in either, no way, or, whatever. They're not all that self-controlled. So So he went and asked for time, and obviously Nebuchadnezzar said, go ahead, you got maybe 24 hours. Who knows what he said. But then Daniel goes back and has his friends plead for God's mercy. Well, they were echoing Solomon's prayer in 1 Kings 8:46 to 53. Somebody look that up real quick. 1 Kings 8:46 to 53, because Daniel knew this part of the Bible very well, and they were echoing this plea to God from Solomon. So 1 Kings 8:46 to 53, read it. Somebody who gets it fast. All right, go ahead. Read it. 1 Kings 8:46 to 53.
They sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin. You are angry with them and give them to an enemy, so that they are carried away captive to the land of the enemy, far off or near. Yet if they turn their heart from the land to which they have been carried captive, and repent and plead with you in the land of their captors, saying, we have sinned and have acted perversely and wickedly. If they repent with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies who carried them captive, and pray to you toward their land, which you gave to their fathers, the city that you have chosen, and the house that I have built for your name, then hear in heaven your dwelling place their prayer and their plea, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you, and all their transgressions that they have committed against you, and grant them compassion in the sight of those who carried them captive, that they may have compassion on them. They are your people and your heritage, which you brought out of Egypt from the midst of the iron furnace. Let your eyes be open to the plea of your servant and to the plea of your people Israel, giving ear to them whenever they call to you. For you separated them from among all peoples of the earth to be your heritage, as you declared through Moses your servant, who brought our fathers out of Egypt, O Lord God.
And so Daniel knew this prayer, and he said, all right, we're the guys that are now in captivity. And what Solomon says we should do is we should plead for God's mercy, because we are a part of a nation that has sinned against him and is experiencing God's retribution. But we were pleading that these people who are our captors will treat us with respect, would approve of who we are, and grant us grace and mercy. So these guys spent the night pleading for God's mercy. And I imagine they didn't sleep a wink. We probably can experience the same thing. If God doesn't help, so we get ourselves in a situation where if God doesn't come through, then we're toast. Somebody look up Ephesians 6:18. Read that. I know Anna was looking at Ephesians the other day. So Ephesians 6:18. Got it, Anna? Okay.
Praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication, to that end keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints.
That's what we need to do, praying in the Spirit. So whenever we find ourselves at wit's end, gather a few friends and pray for God's mercy. Pray for God to show mercy on your experience and on the people that you are having difficulty with. Here's a classic image of Daniel pleading with Nebuchadnezzar for more time. And notice the other guys are like, who are you, young guy? What's going on? You know. So then Daniel explains to the king that he saw a vision of a statue, something like this. He said, I'm not going to explain this whole thing. We won't read the passage, but you probably understand it. You saw a statue with a head of gold, shoulders and chest of silver, bronze, torso and thighs, iron legs, and then iron mixed with clay on the feet. And then he says you saw a rock formed but not by human hands. And the rock hit the feet of that statue, and the whole thing came crumbling down, broke into the little tiny pieces. He describes it like chaff on the threshing floor, which is like, like peanut shells, that you just get rid of. And it blew away. The whole thing blew away, but the rock turned into a giant mountain that lasts forever. That was the dream that Nebuchadnezzar saw. So when he, in the morning, he found out that God had provided an answer for him. His first thing was that he prayed a poetic prayer. It was very common back in the ancient times that people would respond with poetry. Like when Mary encountered Gabriel and found out she was going to be pregnant, she did this whole, Mary's song kind of thing in Luke 2, I think it is, or in Matthew. People would respond with poetry kind of stuff. And this is what he said: "Praise be to the name of the God forever and ever. Wisdom and power are his. He changes times and seasons. He deposes kings and raises up others. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells in him. I thank and praise you, God of my ancestors. You have given me wisdom and power. You have made known to me what we asked of you. You have made known to us the dream of the king." So that was, God came through and gave Daniel in a vision what the dream was all about, what the dream was and what it was all about. Then he says, God alone raises and destroys kingdoms, and he reveals the future. In very contrast to what the wise guys had just said, the gods don't tell us, they don't dwell with us, we don't talk with them. He says God is the God who reveals what's going to happen. So what are some contemporary gods that cause us to forget that the Lord God is the source of all power and wisdom? We mentioned some yesterday, like things like TikTok and Instagram and influencers and that kind of stuff. Yeah. What other gods help cause us to forget that God's in charge? Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, that's true. And the pursuit of it. Yeah. Oh yeah. God, I want. Yeah, like I said yesterday, every teenager wants two things. They want to have fun and they want to have sex. But ponder that as you have a chance to think things through and evaluate, is this a God that is pulling me away from realizing that the God of heaven is in charge? I get, our circumstances, sometimes we feel like, oh man, I'm having a difficult situation because I deserve it. Those kinds of things. So, wait a minute. Did I get everything? Go back. Go back. Go back. No. Okay, let's do this. I guess I did. All right. Oh, I gave some thought to the answer. What gods, contemporary gods, cause us? We are surrounded by the power and wisdom of the world. So sometimes it comes in a religious form. Do you have friends who are like into New Age or spiritualism or meditation or universalism? Do you know what universalism is? Universalism is, hey, all religions are somewhat true. We're all headed in the same way. Everybody's good. It's that coexist kind of thing. The anti-religious gods, the woke culture, you know what woke culture is? What? Yeah, it is. Historical revision, people reinterpreting or rewriting history to fit their narrative. Political antagonism, the schism that we experience in our country now, but it's happening all over the world. And gender issues, those are anti-religious things. But then there's things that we mentioned, secular gods like power and money, success by following its strategies in business. You can really be somebody if you just shave this corner and pull that string, that kind of thing. So now we're at the so what part of this thing. Good. So pursue wisdom. Daniel responded with wisdom and tact. Wisdom is here's my definition of wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to take what the Word of God says and make it work in everyday situations. Let's break that down just for a second. It's an ability. It's a skill. Proverbs talks over and over again about wisdom being a skill that you can acquire. But you have to practice it. Like any other skill, you have to get good at it. I play guitar, and I'm okay at it, but I don't practice as much as I should. And when I start practicing, I end up twiddling knobs and making my sound better, instead of working on these 8 little savages I have to control. It's wisdom in the same way as a skill that you get better at it, the more you practice it. And it's the skill of taking what God says in His Word and making it work in everyday situations. But unwise is the attempt to take what the world says and make it work in everyday situations. It's not a skill. It's our attempt to say, you know what, I think this might be right, so this is what I'm going to do. Instead of running everything that we think and do through the filter of God's Word. So like what Paul says, that we take every thought captive for Christ kind of deal. So pursue wisdom. Wisdom is like 2 wings of the same airplane. You can't have just one wing of an airplane. You got to have both. The first wing is it's objective. It's found in God's Word. And the other wing is that it's subjective. You experience it. The more you experience it, the better you get at it. And God gives wisdom. Do I have that on there already? In response to prayer. What does James 1:5 say? Do you have an idea? If anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who provides freely without condemnation. Do I have another thing? All right, so the last thing that I thought I'd point out is that this experience that Daniel had foreshadows Jesus. This is an experience where God reveals Himself, reveals the future, He visits us, He works through a person, and that was fulfilled in Jesus becoming human form, revealing the Father to us in a way that we can understand it. God is the God who reveals Himself, and Jesus is the ultimate example of that. All right, so your assignment is to read Daniel chapter 3, and in the next session, we have our first skit. All right? So I'll see you back here in 15 minutes. Or wisdom is given in response to prayer. James 1:5.
Is it a garment? Yeah. They're so nice. No, because it's designed for actually exercise.
Like, if you look at the tides and the wave waves and the winds.
What version is that? My cousin is so fat. Rock, paper, scissors. I don't need
Hey, dude. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah? Cool.
Yeah, a
What'd
little
you do?
sore. I
What-
got hit in the face by my surfboard.
Ow. That's what you get for having a pointy surfboard.
This is the fin.
Oh, the fin.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't have my phone on me, but I had a pretty good gash I can show you. And then I got.
Did you get a
bruise
stitch?
right
Did you
here.
get a stitch?
No, they use super glue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This one.
Owie, owie, ow, ooh, that makes my tummy hurt. Oh, yeesh. So no going in the water for you for a while.
I think I can with the super glue.
Okay. He super glued it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess it wasn't deep enough.
Okay.
I thought it was.
Yeah, because it was like gaping.
I mean, it was wide.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy. Crazy.
You guys digging into Daniel?
Yes, we are.
Fun.
Yeah, it is. I try to make it fun. I don't know how fun it is, but
Yeah.
we try to.
You guys